My wife said, let's stay friends during our separation. I agreed. She expected me to keep fixing things and paying bills while she explored her options. Then I took her best friend Rachel to dinner. Suddenly, friendship had limits she didn't like. My name is James Cooper, though everyone calls me Jim. I'm 43 years old, and I manage a chain of 3 automotive service centers across Phoenix. It's honest work, the kind where you solve real problems with your hands and your brain. I've built a decent life, a comfortable home, and I thought, a solid marriage. My son Brandon, 15, lives with me full-time. He's from my first marriage to Laura, but that's ancient history now. Laura and I split when Brandon was 3, stayed civil, stayed focused on raising a good kid. We did that part right. Christina, my second wife, she's 37. We've been married for 7 years. She's a graphic designer, worked from home, does well enough. When we met, I thought I'd found someone who appreciated stability after the chaos of my 20s. She seemed to value what I brought to the table: reliability, hard work, a steady hand. I was wrong about that last part. That Tuesday, I was replacing the torque converter in my truck. The garage smelled like motor oil and old coffee. My hands were black with grease, and I was focused, the way you get when you're solving a mechanical puzzle. Then I heard her footsteps. She was holding a glass of wine, wearing yoga pants, and that oversized cardigan she loved. She looked relaxed, almost too relaxed for what came next. "Jim," she said, her voice casual, like she was about to ask me to pick up milk. "I've been thinking, maybe we should separate for a while. Take some space. But we can stay friends, right?" I didn't drop my wrench. Didn't even flinch. I just kept turning the bolt, listening to the click-click-click of the ratchet. My wife suggested we stay friends during our separation. The words hung there in the garage air, mixing with the smell of grease and metal. "All right," I said. That was it. 2 words. She stood there for a moment longer, like she expected more. Maybe tears, maybe anger, maybe some desperate plea to work things out. Instead, I wiped my hands on a shop rag and walked past her into the house. I heated up leftover meatloaf, ate it standing at the kitchen counter, and went upstairs to check on Brandon's homework. Christina moved into the guest room that night. Quietly, methodically, like she'd been planning it. No drama, no explanation. She probably thought my silence meant acceptance, maybe even defeat. What she didn't realize was that silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. And I'd just agreed to play a game where I already knew all the rules, because she'd written them herself. "Stay friends," she said. Fine. I'd show her exactly what friendship looked like. The first test came 2 days later. I was in the driveway Saturday morning, checking the brake pads on Brandon's hand-me-down Civic before letting him take his driving test next week. My phone buzzed. Text from Christina. "Hey, can you look at the garbage disposal? It's making a weird noise." I stared at the message for a solid minute. Then I typed back. That sounded like something a husband would handle. "We're friends now, remember." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally. "Seriously?" "Dead serious," I replied. "Friends don't do home repairs for each other. You might want to call a plumber." I slipped the phone back in my pocket and returned to Brandon's brake job. My son glanced up from where he was watching me work. "Mom texting you?" he asked. He'd started calling Christina Mom about 2 years ago, though she never really embraced the role. Too busy with her freelance projects and her friend group. "Yeah," I said, not looking up. "Just some house stuff." Brandon nodded slowly. He was a smart kid, perceptive. He'd noticed Christina moving into the guest room, noticed the shift in temperature around the house. We hadn't told him anything official yet, but teenagers aren't stupid. "Dad," he said carefully, "are you and Christina splitting up?" I stopped working and met his eyes. "No point in lying. We're taking some space. Figuring things out." "Okay," he said. Then, after a pause, "You seem better, actually." That hit me harder than I expected. Better. Like I'd been sick and was finally recovering. Maybe I'd been. Inside the house, I heard the garbage disposal grinding, then Christina's frustrated sigh. She appeared in the doorway a few minutes later, hair tied back, looking annoyed. "The disposal's completely jammed," she said. "Can you just take a quick look?" I straightened up, wiping my hands. "Christina, we talked about this. We're friends now. Friends don't fix each other's appliances." Her jaw tightened. "This is ridiculous." "No," I said evenly. "This is exactly what you asked for. You wanted space and friendship. Friends have boundaries." She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. For 7 years, I'd been the guy who handled everything. Leaky faucets, electrical issues, oil changes on her car, furniture assembly, you name it. I'd done it automatically, without asking for credit, because that's what partners do. But we weren't partners anymore. She made that clear. Fine, she snapped, pulling out her phone. I'll call someone. Good idea, I said, turning back to the brake job. She stood there a moment longer, probably waiting for me to crack, to say I was just kidding, to fall back into the comfortable pattern of me fixing her problems. When I didn't, she went back inside. Brandon watched the whole exchange. Dad, he said quietly, you're really not going to help her. I met his eyes. Son, when someone tells you what they want, believe them. Your stepmom wants friendship. Friends don't do free labor for each other. That's the deal she offered, and I'm honoring it. He thought about that, then nodded. Makes sense. It did make sense. Perfect sense. And over the next few days, Christina was going to learn exactly how much sense it made. That afternoon, I went grocery shopping. For one. Well, 1.5, counting Brandon. I bought steak, fresh vegetables, good coffee, the protein bars I liked. Nothing Christina used. No fancy cheese, no organic oat milk, no gluten-free crackers. When I got home, she was in the kitchen, probably expecting me to unload groceries for both of us like I always did. Where's the rest? She asked, looking at my 3 bags. This is it, I said. My groceries. She blinked. What about the oat milk? And the hummus I like? We're friends now, Christina, I said calmly. Friends buy their own groceries. The look on her face was priceless. Christina's work event was scheduled for Saturday evening at our house. She'd been planning it for weeks, some networking thing with her creative agency colleagues. Normally, I'd help set up, play host, make sure everything ran smoothly. Not this time. Friday night, she cornered me in the living room with her event planning notebook. So tomorrow, I'm thinking we can set up the folding tables on the back patio, Christina said, and maybe you can grill some chicken skewers? Everyone loved those last time. I looked up from the carburetor I was rebuilding on the coffee table. Yeah, I brought my work inside. My house, my rules now. I won't be here tomorrow, I said simply. Her pen stopped mid-note. What do you mean you won't be here? I'm spending the evening out. Friends respect each other's space, right? This is your event. Jim, this is our house. Actually, it's legally mine, I said calmly. I owned it before we married. But you're welcome to use it for your party. I'll be back around 10. Her face went through several shades of red. You're seriously going to leave me to handle this alone? You're a capable adult, Christina. You'll figure it out. Saturday afternoon, I watched her scramble. The catering she planned to do herself wasn't coming together. The bar setup looked amateur. She kept glancing toward the garage, probably hoping I'd cave and help. I didn't. At 5:30, I grabbed my jacket and keys. Brandon was already gone to a friend's house. Smart kid. Where are you going? Christina demanded, hands covered in some kind of appetizer mishap. Out with a friend, I said. Have a great party. I drove to Rachel's apartment across town. Rachel Stevens, Christina's best friend since college. The one who'd always been friendly, maybe a little too friendly. The one who'd been texting me the past few days, asking if I was okay, if I needed to talk. She opened the door wearing jeans and a simple black top, hair down, no makeup. Real, not performed. Jim, hey, she said, smiling. Come in. We'd agreed to grab dinner, nothing fancy. Just 2 friends getting Thai food and talking. She'd been divorced 3 years ago, understood what it felt like when a marriage ended quietly instead of explosively. Over pad thai and spring rolls, Rachel asked the question I've been waiting for. So Christina really just asked for space. Just like that. Just like that, I confirmed. Said we should stay friends. Rachel shook her head. That's so Christina. She wants the safety net without the commitment. Well, she's learning that safety nets have limits. Rachel laughed, really laughed. I bet she is. We talked for 3 hours. About life, about work, about how sometimes the person you marry isn't the person you thought they were. It was easy, comfortable. No performance. No walking on eggshells. Around 9, Rachel took a photo of us at the restaurant. Casual, friendly, my arm resting on the back of the booth behind her. Nothing scandalous, but definitely not nothing. Mind if I post this? She asked. I smiled. Not at all. She posted it to Instagram with a simple caption, "Good company, good conversation." I got home at 10:15. The house was a disaster. Half-empty wine glasses everywhere. Food remnants. The kitchen looked like a crime scene. Christina was sitting on the couch, still in her party clothes, scrolling through her phone. She looked up when I walked in. Her expression was cold, calculated. "Nice evening," she asked. "Great, actually." "You." She held up her phone, showing me Rachel's Instagram post. "Want to explain this?" "Two friends having dinner," I said. "That's what we are now, right? Friends? Friends can have dinner with other friends." Her jaw clenched. "That's my best friend, Jim." I said. "Your best friend. You might want to check how good of a friend she really was." I walked upstairs, leaving her with a mess. Literally and figuratively. Sunday morning, I woke up to silence. That heavy, angry kind of silence that fills a house like smoke. Christina's door was closed. Good. I made coffee, started reviewing the books for my auto shops. Numbers don't lie, and lately, they'd been telling me something interesting. Our personal finances were more complicated than I'd realized. Around 10, Christina came downstairs. No makeup, hair messy, eyes slightly red. She'd been crying or hadn't slept. Maybe both. "We need to talk," she said, voice tight. "About?" I didn't look up from my laptop. "About you parading around with Rachel. About you humiliating me in front of my friends." Now I looked up. "Humiliating you?" "I had dinner with a friend. You know, that thing you said we should be." "She's my friend, Jim." "So I can't have friends?" That seems controlling for someone who wanted space and independence. Christina's hands were shaking. "This is different, and you know it." "How?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Explain to me how me having dinner with Rachel is different from you asking for a separation. Help me understand the rules you're playing by." She couldn't. She just stood there, opening and closing her mouth like a fish. That's when my phone rang. Laura, my ex-wife. "Hey, Laura." I answered, putting it on speaker. "What's up?" Laura's voice came through clear and professional. She'd always been direct. "Jim, Brandon left his biology textbook here. I'm dropping it off in 20 minutes. That okay?" "Perfect. Thanks." "Also," Laura continued, "he told me about you and Christina separating. I'm sorry to hear that, but honestly, you seem better already. Brandon said you're more like yourself." Christina's face went white. "Thanks, Laura. I appreciate that. See you in 20. I hung up and met Christina's eyes. Even my ex-wife can see I'm better without this situation. That tell you anything? "Your ex has always hated me." Christina spat. "Laura doesn't hate anyone. She's just honest. Unlike some people." I stood up and grabbed my keys. "I'm going to check on shop number 2. The manager reported some inventory discrepancies I need to review." "We're not done talking," Christina insisted. "Yes, we are. Friends don't owe each other explanations, remember?" I walked out, leaving her standing in the kitchen. As I drove away, I felt lighter than I had in months. Later that afternoon, I sat in my office at the main shop, going through credit card statements I'd pulled from our joint accounts. What I found made my blood run cold, then hot, then cold again. Christina had a separate credit card I didn't know about. Over $23,000 in charges over the past 18 months. Designer clothes, spa treatments, weekend trips with friends, expensive dinners I'd never attended. She'd been living a secret life on credit, probably planning this separation longer than I realized. The house of cards was falling, and I was going to make sure I wasn't buried underneath it. Thursday evening, Christina was waiting for me when I got home from work. She stood in the living room, arms crossed, phone in hand. Behind her, Rachel's Instagram post was pulled up on her laptop screen. "We need to talk about Rachel," Christina said, voice tight. I set down my keys. "What about her?" "You're sleeping with her, aren't you?" "No," I said simply. "We had dinner. That's it." "I don't believe you." I shrugged. "That's your problem, not mine. You wanted space and friendship. Friends are allowed to have other friends." "She was my friend first." "Was," I repeated. Past tense. "Maybe you should ask yourself why she's not reaching out to you anymore." Christina's face flushed red. "You poison her against me." "I didn't have to. You did that yourself." I walked toward the kitchen. Rachel asked how I was doing. "Apparently, she's been watching you treat me like hired help for years. Guess she got tired of watching." "This is betrayal." I turned back. "No, Christina. Betrayal is hiding $23,000 in debt." Betrayal is planning a separation while pretending everything's fine. Betrayal is treating your husband like a paycheck with a tool belt. She went silent. The debt. She'd been hoping I wouldn't bring it up. We need to talk about that, she said quietly. No, we don't. My lawyer will talk to your lawyer. I'm not responsible for your credit card spending sprees. Your lawyer. Her voice pitched higher. You hired a lawyer? 2 days ago. You wanted a separation, Christina. I'm making it official. Brandon appeared at the top of the stairs, backpack slung over one shoulder. He'd been listening. Dad, I'm heading to practice, he called down. Drive safe, son. He looked at Christina, then back at me. Dad, can we order Chinese later? Just us. Absolutely. After Brandon left, Christina's anger crumbled into something else. Desperation, maybe. Jim, can we just slow down? Maybe we can talk about this, go to counseling. No, I said firmly. You asked for space. I'm giving you all of it. Permanent space. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant exactly this. You just expected me to wait around while you figured out if you could do better. Well, I'm not waiting. I'm done. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and I saw the name flash. Derek. Some guy from her creative network. Probably. She'd been texting him a lot lately, I'd noticed. Your friend texting you? I asked pointedly. She flushed and turned the phone over. That's none of your business. Exactly, I said. And Rachel is none of yours. I left her standing there and went upstairs to change. Through my window, I saw her get in her car and drive off, probably to cry to whatever friend she had left. My phone buzzed. Text from Rachel. Dinner tomorrow? My place this time. I'll cook. I smiled and typed back. Sounds perfect. Things were moving forward. And for once, I was okay with the direction. Friday afternoon, Christina's car broke down. Not surprising, since she'd been ignoring the check engine light for 3 months despite my warnings. I got the text around 2 p.m. Jim, car died on Camelback Road. Can you come get me? I was in the middle of a parts inventory meeting at Shop 3. I typed back, can't. I'm working. Call a tow truck. Jim, please. I'm stranded. AAA has your number. Use it. I turned my phone face down and continued the meeting. 20 minutes later, my shop manager, Pete, knocked on the office door. Boss, there's a woman out front asking for you. Says her car broke down. I sighed and walked out. Christina was standing by the service counter, mascara slightly smudged, looking frustrated and exhausted. The tow truck said 2-hour wait, she explained. I just need a ride home. Can't help you. I'm working. But, I turned to Pete. Can you call her an Uber on the shop account? Pete nodded. Sure thing. Christina's face fell. You won't even drive me home. We're friends, Christina. Friends don't drop everything for each other. That's what partners do. I pulled out my phone and showed her Rachel's earlier text. Besides, I have dinner plans. With her, Christina said flatly. With her, I confirmed. The Uber arrived 15 minutes later. Christina left without another word, but the look on her face told me everything. She was finally understanding the full weight of what she'd asked for. That evening, Rachel's apartment smelled like garlic and rosemary. She'd made chicken piccata, something I'd mentioned loving weeks ago in a casual conversation. She'd remembered. This is amazing, I said, taking a bite. My grandmother's recipe. Rachel smiled. She always said the way to a man's heart was through properly seasoned food. We talked for hours. About her divorce, about my separation, about how we'd both ignored red flags because we wanted to believe in something that wasn't real. She got it. All of it. Around 9, she brought out coffee and cannoli from that Italian bakery downtown. Jim, can I ask you something? Rachel said, setting down her cup. Shoot. Why now? Why did you finally stop taking Christina's treatment? I thought about it. Because she gave me permission. The moment she said, let's be friends, she released me from the obligation to care more than she did. I stopped fighting for something she'd already given up on. Rachel nodded slowly. She's going to realize what she lost. She already is, I said. But it's too late. Rachel reached across the table and took my hand. Not romantic, not yet. Just connection. Real, honest connection. For what it's worth, she said, Christina never deserved you. I drove home around 11. Christina's bedroom light was on, but I didn't care. I went straight to my room, texted Brandon goodnight, and slept better than I had in months. The next morning, Saturday, I woke up to chaos. Christina was in the kitchen, on the phone, crying. Mom, I know. I just don't understand what happened. I grabbed coffee and headed to the garage. Whatever crisis she was manufacturing wasn't my problem anymore. Brandon found me 20 minutes later. Dad, Christina's mom just told her she's taking her side. I looked up from the engine I was timing. What? Yeah, I heard the whole thing. Her mom said Christina made her bed and now she has to lie in it. Said you were always too good for her anyway. I couldn't help but smile. Even Christina's own mother saw the truth. How's she taking it? I asked. Not well. She's upstairs packing a bag. I think she's going to her friend Derek's place for the weekend. Derek, the guy from her texts. Let him deal with her drama. Good, I said. We'll have the house to ourselves. Brandon grinned. Can Rachel come over for dinner? Smart kid. I'll ask her. That evening, Rachel came over. We grilled steaks, made a salad, and the three of us ate on the back patio under string lights I'd hung years ago. Brandon told stories about his driving practice. Rachel laughed at my terrible jokes. And for the first time in years, my house felt like a home. Christina returned Sunday night to find us watching a movie in the living room. Rachel sitting comfortably on the couch where Christina used to sit. The look on her face was pure devastation. Good. She'd earned it. I found out about Derek on a Tuesday. Brandon came home from school and dropped his backpack with more force than usual. You okay, son? I asked from the kitchen where I was prepping dinner. Christina brought some guy to my school today, he said flatly. To my track meet. I set down the knife. What guy? Derek something. Said he's a creative strategist, whatever that means. He was wearing like 3 necklaces and talked about his startup the whole time. I almost laughed. How'd that go? Mom showed up too. She saw Christina with this guy, and they had words in the parking lot. It was awkward. Laura had gone to Brandon's meet and seen Christina with her new boy toy. This was getting interesting. What did your mom say? She pulled me aside after and said, your dad deserves better than this circus. Then she asked if you were doing okay. What did you tell her? Brandon smiled. That you're doing great. That Rachel comes over, and you actually laugh now. That evening, Laura called me directly. Jim, I'm not one to get involved, but I saw Christina today with some man-child who looks like he shops at thrift stores ironically. I couldn't help it. I laughed. That's Derek. Her new friend. Friend, Laura repeated skeptically. Right. Well, for what it's worth. She looked miserable trying to impress him, and he looked like he was already planning his exit. Thanks for letting me know. Jim, Laura said, voice softer. I mean this genuinely. You seem different. Better. Brandon says you're actually present now. I am, I admitted. Took me long enough. Well, keep it up. And hey, Brandon mentioned Rachel. She seems good for you. After we hung up, I sat there for a moment. My ex-wife was rooting for me. My son was happier. Rachel made me laugh. The only person miserable was Christina, and that was her own doing. Friday night, Rachel and I took Brandon to his son's game. We got decent seats, ate overpriced hot dogs, and just enjoyed ourselves. Brandon and Rachel got along effortlessly. She asked him about school, actually listened to his answers, treated him like a person instead of an obstacle. On the way home, Brandon fell asleep in the back seat. Rachel looked over at me. You got a great kid, she said. Thanks. He likes you. I like him too. She paused. I like this. All of it. I reached over and took her hand. Me too. When we got home, Christina's car was in the driveway. Through the window, I could see her and Derek arguing. His body language was all defensive, hands up, backing toward the door. We walked in just as Derek was leaving. He brushed past us, practically running to his car. Christina stood in the kitchen, makeup smeared, holding a wine glass. Have a good evening. I asked mildly. She glared at Rachel, then at me. He left, just like that. Said I was too intense, and he wasn't looking for anything serious. Rachel squeezed my hand, then said, I'll wait in the car. After she left, Christina turned to me. Are you happy now? Watching me fall apart. No, I said honestly. I'm just indifferent. Your choices, your consequences. That should be me, she whispered, gesturing toward where Rachel had stood. We should be going to games together, being a family. We could have been, I said. But you chose different. You wanted space, wanted friendship, wanted to see what else was out there. Well, you found Derek. How'd that work out? She had no answer. I walked back outside to Rachel, leaving Christina alone with her choices. Monday morning, my attorney called. Jim, we're ready to file. I've drafted the separation agreement. Given the house is yours, the debt is hers, and you have clear documentation of separate finances, this should be straightforward. Do it, I said. The papers were served Tuesday afternoon. Christina received them at home, signed for them, then immediately called me at work. You're really doing this, she said, voice hollow. Yes. Just like that. No discussion. No trying to work things out. Christina, you ended this marriage the day you asked for space. I'm just making it official. What about the house? Mine. Owned it before we married. The car. Which one? Your Prius is yours. My truck is mine. What am I supposed to do? Her voice was rising, panic setting in. Figure it out. Like an adult. You've got 60 days to find a new place. 60 days? Jim, I can't afford. Not my problem. You wanted independence. Here it is. She hung up without another word. I went back to my work. That evening, I came home to find Christina packing. Not everything, just some clothes and essentials. She was moving to her friend Kelly's place temporarily. Couldn't afford her own apartment yet. The business is doing well, I said, watching her pack. She turned, hopeful for a moment. My accountant says we're up 15% this quarter. Finally got that expansion deal I wanted. Her face fell. She'd always dismissed my business ambitions, said I was thinking too small. Now that business was securing my future while she scrambled for stability. Good for you, she said bitterly. It is good for me. Turns out when you're not constantly stressed about your home life, you perform better at work. Brandon came home, saw the suitcases. You leaving? Christina nodded. Just for a bit. Staying at Kelly's. Okay, Brandon said simply. No emotion, no plea for her to stay. He went upstairs to his room. Christina looked at me. He doesn't even care. You never made him feel like you cared, I said. Kids notice that stuff. She left an hour later. The house felt immediately lighter, like someone had opened all the windows after years of stale air. Rachel came over that night. We made dinner together, something simple. Pasta, garlic bread, salad. She moved around my kitchen like she belonged there, and it felt natural. How are you doing? She asked while we ate. Honestly, I feel free. Good, she said, smiling. You deserve to feel free. After dinner, we sat on the back patio under the stars. She leaned against me, and I wrapped my arm around her. Jim, she said quietly, I know this is all still fresh, the divorce and everything, but I want you to know I'm not going anywhere. I kissed the top of her head. Good, because I don't want you to. Inside, my phone buzzed. Text from my attorney. Christina's lawyer responded. She's not contesting anything. This should be finalized within 90 days. 90 days. 3 months until I was completely free. I looked at Rachel, thought about Brandon upstairs, finally relaxed in his own home, thought about my business growing, my health improving, my life finally moving forward. Christina had asked for space. I'd given her all of it. And in that space, I'd found something better. Something real. Something worth keeping. The divorce papers were finalized on a Thursday morning in October. 87 days from the moment Christina asked for space. I signed them at my attorney's office, calm and clear-headed. Christina signed them at her lawyer's office across town, probably crying. That evening, she showed up at the house. My house. She still had a key, though I'd be changing the locks tomorrow. I was in the kitchen with Rachel and Brandon, making tacos for dinner. The three of us had fallen into an easy rhythm, comfortable domesticity that felt more real than anything I'd had with Christina. Jim, we need to talk, Christina said from the doorway. Rachel squeezed my hand, then said quietly, I'll take Brandon to get ice cream. Give you 2 space. After they left, Christina sat at the kitchen table. She looked smaller, somehow diminished. Dark circles under her eyes, hair not styled the way she used to keep it. The papers are final, she said. We're really divorced. Yes. I made a mistake, she said, voice breaking. I see that now. I took you for granted. I thought I wanted something different, but Derek was a disaster, and I've been miserable and— Stop, I said firmly. You're not miserable because you miss me. You're miserable because you're facing consequences. There's a difference. I do miss you, she insisted. I miss us. We can fix this, go to counseling. No, Christina. We're done. You wanted to stay friends during our separation, remember? Well, friends don't pay each other's bills. Friends don't fix each other's problems. And friends definitely don't get back together after one of them burns everything down. She stood up, desperate now. I'll change. I'll be better. I'll appreciate you. You had 7 years to appreciate me. You chose not to. I leaned against the counter. Rachel appreciates me. She shows up. She asks about my day and actually listens. She treats Brandon like he matters. Everything you didn't do, she does naturally. Christina's face crumpled. You're really choosing her over me? I'm choosing myself. Rachel's just smart enough to choose me too. She grabbed her purse, crying openly now. At the door, she turned back one last time. I hope you're happy, she said bitterly. I am, I replied honestly. For the first time in years, I actually am. She left. I changed the locks that night. For months later, everything had settled into place. The divorce was final. Christina had moved to Tucson for a fresh start, and I'd bought out her minimal interest in some shared items for far less than she'd hoped. Brandon got his driver's license and a partial scholarship for track. Laura and I maintained our cordial co-parenting relationship, and she'd even had coffee with Rachel once, giving her seal of approval. My business expanded to a 4th location. That 15% growth turned into 23%. I hired 2 new managers, finally had the bandwidth to take actual vacations. It was a Saturday morning in February when I asked Rachel to take a walk with me at Papago Park. Brandon was at a track meet. The weather was perfect, and I'd been carrying a small box in my pocket for 2 weeks. We climbed to the top of the buttes, looking out over Phoenix. The city stretched out beneath us, vast and full of possibility. Rachel, I said, turned to face her. You know what you said once? About showing up because you want to, not because you need something. I remember, she said, smiling. You've shown up every day for 6 months. You've been patient with my mess, kind to my son, honest about everything. You've made me remember what it feels like to be chosen, not just tolerated. I pulled out the box and opened it. Simple ring, nothing flashy, but quality. Like her. I'm not asking you to save me. I'm asking you to build something with me. Marry me. Her eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. Yes, absolutely yes. Brandon was thrilled when we told him. Laura sent her congratulations. Even my business partners noticed I was happier, more focused. Christina sent a text when she somehow heard the news. I hope she realizes what she's getting. I replied simply, she does. That's why she said yes. We got married that summer, small ceremony, just family and close friends. Brandon was my best man. Laura came and genuinely celebrated with us. Standing at the altar, watching Rachel walk toward me, I thought about how Christina's request for space had been the best gift she'd ever given me. She thought she was pausing our marriage to explore her options. Instead, she'd freed me to find someone who didn't need convincing that I was worth staying for. My wife suggested we stay friends during our separation. I said yes. Then I started dating her best friend, and she realized friends don't pay each other's bills, fix each other's problems, or wait around while someone decides if they're worth it. Christina had wanted friendship. I gave her exactly that, nothing more, nothing less. And in doing so, I found everything I'd been missing.